What
I
sort of
like the
stuff does he do
idea.
on it?
Oh, he just has he has the Grandmaster, you know,
Uh-huh.
he just spams it, yeah. What do you got,
So,
Dano?
I mean, does he
Also,
do it in a particularly interesting way, or is he just good at it?
he's
I mean,
just good
how
at it, and I think
yeah.
this game in particular, if it is still a mid coddle, this is such a hard game for a mid coddle, man. Right? Like you've got 3 ways to catch, and we're seeing a lot more position ones. I think the trend was led by Arme in going like a second item Aghanim shard, like at around the 15,
Yeah.
16 minute mark. And then you just play around the time dilation, which is incredibly effective against these heroes like the Coddle that just want to be constantly spamming their abilities throughout these team fights, that constantly have their abilities on cooldown. So you're just going to be slowed down by a huge percentage. Very devastating for a Coddle who's very squishy if you can get on top of him. And then you just don't output any damage, which you need as this mid laner. So Navi are going to need to change something up in my mind. Like this almost has to be a mid tiny in my books.
So OneMove who to change things up. Oh no, they swapped them around now.
Yeah,
OneMove.
sort of that. You
I
got him
need to
right now. You're good.
unscramble my brain.
They are correct. They are correct right now.
Yes, I'm in full agreement. I do not want to see him mid coddle. Like, sure, it can be good. I personally don't like no one on just because I like seeing him on the more flashy and explosive stuff. But this is just not the time to me, especially if you pick something here that guarantees it's mid coddle, and then they have even another pick to go for that idea and concept of the catch. That just seems rather disastrous. So. Yeah, let's go mid tiny. Pick a 1. I like the idea from OneMove to keep an eye on these coddle combos. Get rid of the bristleback. Make sure that you're not going to get sort of caught by that with another tanky hero that Dawnbreaker can just play around with. I mean, they could just straight up Wraith King. That's a pretty basic idea. It's kind of lame, but you know.
Yeah. The thing is, for me, I feel like the only way Navi are going to win this game is if they end it early. So it's like you almost want this coddle to be mid, but it can't be, you know? Like that is the tempo that you're playing around, because Faceless Void is still, in my opinion, the best position 1 in the late game. You know, like you just do
Whoa.
everything.
Wukong's command would like a word with you, sir. So I can't get over that 25 talent on Wukong's.
Yeah,
to
that's
me,
pretty good.
to me that is a chrono, dude.
But then you just
Navi
time walk
pick
out
up
of
the
it,
monkey.
you know? Who cares?
That's true. He's pretty good.
Because the monkey's still in the pool there. Is it not a good pick for Navi here?
I guess we'll find out.
Are they going to go further?
That's good. That's
Nature's
speed.
Prophet. That
That's a
is
good pick.
speed.
Tempo.
Speed incarnate. What do OneMove
They
need
want-
to round out this draft then, Danog?
They need a pos 3 that's going to be able to deal well with the Nature's Prophet and stop a lot of this early push. I mean, if you're just trying to stall the game out, Underlord's never that bad, although Prophet Clockwork is kind of a hard lane. I'm assuming that's what's the 1-5 combination. Necro's still in the pool, but it's not an amazing Necro game. Just more stuns is never a bad thing. Like, even just an arena is pretty good if Mars is still in the pool. Yeah, Mars would be totally fine for me.
There are 2 bands really spell it out. I think the Timber and the Kunkka. Those would be 2 excellent heroes for exactly what OneMove want to do this game. Like Navi have a very good idea of what their win condition is, and those are the 2 kind of heroes that you don't want to see. So if you can go down that same vein, I would be opting towards that. Is there any mid hero that makes it worth making this a 3 Sand King?
I mean, it's
That
a
could
pretty
be
good
the
3
other hero.
Sand King game, isn't it? Like, the Clockwork, not so much, but against the Treants, the
trees, yeah.
Sandstorm does a pretty good job.
Well, what mid would you pick up here? You've only got 8 seconds to predict it. That's the Underlord.
No, this is the safest one. This is just, it fits the idea. Like there's not many heroes like this. Tide has kind of fallen off a cliff, so Underlord has taken over that role for the most part, and he's good at it. You know, he's solid, and has some sort of okay counterplay versus Dawnbreaker in terms of like similar global mobility, as well as having the AoE route that you can sort of anticipate some of Dawnbreaker's moves with that. So it's a solid draft from OneMove for sure. But I will say Navi's draft looks much better than last game.
Oh, but it's the mid coddle, man. I don't know. I don't know about this. This is I'm worried for Navi. You know, again, they might not even make it to those tiebreakers. We might see OneMove get a 2-0 here. I was really confident with OneMove's game 1 draft. The one area that I'm seeing that Navi might be able to exploit this is that Underlord very weak in the early part of that laning stage. So if you can hit level 2 a little earlier, get the cogs plus the battery assault in onto him with the Nature's Prophet hitting into you, then maybe they can look to snowball around Vitoon. But it's really just going to be based on that.
All right. Well, will Navi light up this second game with their mid-cottle, or will OneMove managed to enchant us with their draft? We're going to find out with Avo and SeekNStrike.
He did it. Call me Avo. The season's not over yet, Richie. We managed. Thank you so much, Dan. We have game 2 between OneMove and NAVI. I kind of side with the panel a little bit. It looks like OneMove's draft is just very strong. I'm a big fan, particularly of the Sand King versus the Coddle mid. I think it's very much a do or die matchup. Like when you pick like Lifestealer versus Viper, if you don't know how to play that matchup, it looks really bad for Lifestealer. But then when you see someone that knows how to play it, it feels awful for Viper. I am a big fan of that Sand King versus Coddle. And I think EU were the pioneers of that particular idea of how to counter Coddle mid. So I'm excited.
We're not going to see it this game simply because you don't have room in the draft for it with a Sand King and an Underlord being your other cores. But a Faceless Void mid also completely destroys a Coddle. You time walk off literally all of his damage, and the time dilation slow. For some reason, it applies 2 stacks whenever Illuminate is on cooldown. I don't know why. I think it's got something to do with like the release Illuminate. It's a bit of a bug, but you do get 2 stacks of time dilation slow every single time Coddle does not have Illuminate. Or sorry, Illuminate. Unless they fix that, but that was the case at least when I last tested that when we were back in Stockholm. We're not going to see it this game, but I still like the Faceless Void matchup into Coddle for that reason anyway.
What compelled you to test that? Who told you this about the Faceless Void?
I was sitting next to Fogged, and he He's that man. He's great. He's great. He loves breaking
he likes
Dota.
his interactions, man. Yeah,
he loves breaking Dota. Yeah, absolutely. So again, we're not going to see it. There's no room in the draft for it. But eventually, at one stage of this game, maybe if you see Smiley Knight hit a time dilation onto the Coddle, just take a look. You might find that you'll be doing the math, and there's one more time dilation stack than you'd expect there to be.
I do like what you say though about the Void in general in this game against the Coddle. I think it's very true because even if Coddle does this is the name of the draft for Navi, right? You 100 to 0 the Void, and if you don't, he time walks away all the damage that Coddle just did because he's gonna go. Yeah, and he kills you. He usually goes for like the Dagon build, or well, we'll see if he goes like Vessel or E-Blade or what's the idea here. But usually it's some sort of burst damage abusing that Solar Bind, and you can totally abuse that with Void. So I like that a lot. I would love to see Holy Locket Enchanters as well for that very reason, because that extra bit of healing might just be enough to get Void out of the death zone.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's probably going to be a Vessel game. It's just very valuable versus the dual strength cores.
Right, but then after the Vessel, what do you go? Like E-Blade? Do you go Dagon? Like, what's the idea?
Probably, maybe even a Dagon, honestly. Just delete one of these squishier heroes from the fight. It might be that extra little bit of damage you need to get through the Faceless Void. He's much like a Morphling. He hates that burst damage. And you've got plenty of burst damage you can already look to kind of maximize, right? Wrath of Nature is pretty nutty, insane as far as its burst damage. Obviously, I have a toss into Illuminate and the rest of Coddle's damage, which is going to amp all the damage I just previously stated. On the Solar Bind. So yeah, I kind of like the idea of Dagon personally. It's a little bit greedy, no defensive items, but that's one of the ways you can always go versus Faceless Void before you're ultimately forced to buy the Aeon Disc, of course, right?
Yeah, I agree. I like the E-Blade personally better because of the defensive capabilities it provides against the Void, right? That depends on how well the Sand King does, because if he can just do the thing where he epicenters and blinks inside the Chrono, then E-Blade feels like a dead item here. Yeah, but we'll see. I do like, though, the draft in general for OneMove. I feel like Navi, though, still has pretty strong chances this time of taking over the game early. And that means that if Navi plays well the early game, there's nothing really to stop him. And that's something I do like. Earlier tempo drafts, especially after you lost the game, tend to be a little bit easier to play for top teams because it's all in your control, right?
And I will say that compared to last game, Navi can certainly delay this game, like, much easier. I mean, like, orders of magnitude easier, right? Not only do they have a Nature's Prophet with no really hard counter, I would say. I guess you could say, like, Faceless Void, maybe the Underlord a little bit can counter his push really easily for his global presence.
I think it's Sand King, dude. Travel Boots, Sand King, I think that's the one counter they have. Like, I agree with your points on Void and Underlord, but I really do think Sand King is the NP killer of this game.
Yeah, but I still think that's true. I think that they're going to be able to make a little bit more space than at least they were last game when they didn't really able to do much, especially because OneMove, they don't have a ton of vision to their advantage this time around either. Whereas last time they had, like, what, the Beastmaster, I already forgot another hero that provided them with vision.
Zeus.
Zeus, yes. This time they will be kind of lacking that, which makes making these TPs a bit more difficult for them.
Did you see what the Smiling Knight move? If he just gets hit with hammer, he immediately just time walks it away. He's like, I'm not dealing with this
that.
Dawnbreaker hero. I'm done with this stupid offlaner. Fair enough.
Not want to deal with that.
I see your point. Yeah, I like the Axe skin by the way from LU later on, obviously, as a scaling item. You have 2 strength cores that you can blow up in the fight by accident, and then the Axe caustic finality application is actually important, obviously. And hunting down the NP in the fight is pretty useful. So I would like that deviation for them later on. But we'll see what build he goes for. I think mid-second is very, very versatile. Oh no, he didn't avoid the Coddle Blast.
Oh, it's
GG
okay.
Mario.
He can eat a couple of them. Sanking, he's got a little bit of an appetite for blinding lights. And
Or Illuminates, but you know, Blinding Lights too, I guess.
well, I mean, Illuminate's a very blinding light, isn't it?
it's
I think
all
another issue that Navi might potentially run into is eventually either one of these offlane heroes for OneMove is probably going to get a Wraith Pact online at some stage in this game, right? They can both reasonably do it. Afterlife might want to go for like either a Yules or a Rod of Atos first, right, as Underlords want to do. But anyway, in any case, already lots of damage reduction, right? And that's going to make it much more difficult to burst, you know, through this Faceless Void, which I think we both agree is basically step 1 in Navi's teamfight winning playbook. It always starts with bursting a hero here with their tiny +1 combo.
And I think it has to be Faceless Void as well, as you so well indicated. SweetNStrike in the top lane, though. He's going to try it now. Throws a tree over at Smiling Knight. And with the slow, they're trying to finish him off. Time Walk, though, available in 1 second. He gets it off. SweetNStrike, not fast enough. No point in Avalanche just yet. But they're going to keep trying, actually, as they know Time Walk is only level 1, which means really long cooldown. Smiling Knight is taking them for a ride. He's going into trees. Oh, no, not even Quelling Blade can get through this bramble of trees. So he'll just fall in the end.
Yeah, a bit difficult there. Kind of left on his own as Pantomime was out. I think just collecting a creep or something. Maybe looking for a better creep when I get a little bit of solo XP at least from the tower.
That was a move where it was a probably ping, support. Where?
Yeah,
Where support?
pretty much.
Yeah.
It's okay. He's here now for, you know, the emotional save, really. He wasn't there in time for the physical save and the experience. Yeah, that's secondary, though, Avo. Come on, you know that. I support you all the time. Whenever you die, I'm always there for the emotional support and the experience.
And the experience, yeah. Very good. Pantomime, he could be in trouble now as no one rotates super early and refreshes the toss.
Wow.
Enough to get Panto up in the air a second time, throw the tree, that slows him. No need for the slow. SweetNStrike will just get the kill.
Yep. I really like this. It's a very early rotation out from Coddle, but it's excellently timed, right? Mellow Yule's already farming in the lane, so you don't have to worry about him, you know, some kind of Lesh hero taking your tower instantly. He's even here, going to steal a couple of these stacks as well, which will take him some time and might get contested. But he's also, of course, kind of making this top lane more difficult for OneMove, but he's also enabling SweetNStrike's game here to potentially get a little bit of a faster blink and join him eventually on these kind of kill expeditions as he continues to look to ruin OneMove's early game.
Yep. I also agree that the early rotation is a really good idea, considering that Sanking is just melee Coddle, right, in mid lane. So it's what are you gonna do against him? You might
Melee
as well
Coddle with half the reach.
Yeah, it's a really like that cheap version. What is it? We have Mom, I want Coddle. We have Coddle at home, and it's just Sanking.
It's Sand King, yeah. It's a scorpion instead of horse. It's kind of similar.
Like that old Chinese fable. They kill off Smiling Knight in the top lane. And Phantom once again just there for the emotional support. Really not doing anything at this late here.
No,
but,
I mean, you could say he was basically at 90% HP, and he pops the heal anyway. He's like, bro, I popped the heal. Like, I don't know what you wanted me to do. I could have done
Should've
nothing
been closer
more.
to me, man.
I had no other spells. No, you never say that. You never say that, because then they disconnect and they destroy their items. Blaze is going to get a second kill here. They need to rotate more heroes top lane, although they did lose the wagon here for the Radiant side. And actually, Seiyu and Smiling Knight both here ready to party. They're going to keep some of these Dawnbreaker spells on cooldown with the 2 stacks of time dilation slow. Instead, now turning onto the Tiny as the arrow is going to swing wide there from Seiyu. And unfortunately, that is going to be no move for OneMove.
By the way, correction. A viewer texted me right after game 1. Apparently, the W in Seiyu is supposed to be Cyrillic, so it's Seiyush.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't
It's
know
the
there was a
classic thing
W
where
in
you're
Cyrillic.
EU and you combine the Roman Latin alphabet.
Latin?
Yeah,
I
Roman
don't know.
alphabet with the Cyrillic alphabet, but yeah, it's supposed to be Seiyush apparently. So unless he's trolling me, let's swap to that.
Maybe he is trolling.
Yeah.
Never considered that.
I hope he's not, dude. I feel like when viewers do this, they're actually caring about their culture. I think it's a really nice gesture towards us. So you know, I'm gonna go with Seiyush.
Okay.
Also sounds cool. It's like a Murata. Seiyush. You know, when she leaps, you know. I feel like
Oh,
it's-
everyone knows the famous Miranda from the anime, right?
Yeah, Seiyush.
Out
That's what
next
she does
season.
when she leaps. That's what Sagan does, right? Sayush is away. Yeah. Anyway, after the last performance, I feel like his impact this game has not been as good. And frankly, SeekNStrike is looking really good on the Tiny, so maybe it's just Tiny. Maybe it's not the player.
I mean, at one stage, you do have to, start considering that, right? As we'll look to consider the mid laner's impacts here, because they both got their first big items online. BOT's here for no one, just delivered. He's immediately going into the urn, but here's the Blink Dagger finished up for Meliul. He might look, and indeed probably will look to smoke up. Unfortunately, the smoke's going to have to make another trip here on the courier. So he might just go in without this cover of the smoke. He's thinking about it. Cover in the rune, spawns top. It's an arcane. Sayush. The hard S. Oh, wow, that illuminate damage.
Oh,
there's the blinding light.
Wrath of Nature, everything. Catching fights back, but no! The Dawnbreaker gets him! Lays just needed like a second of damage to finish him off. No one is being chased down by the creep. Someone help no one. He's apparently fast enough. Instead, they're going to go for Meliul, who will fall as well. So 2 kills for the way of Navi.
That's
Frankly,
pain.
I've been in that position where you think, I can just get this arrow off. I'm almost out. And then, something happens and they kill you.
Navi, sorry, OneMove, hold on. We're not done fighting, actually. I mean, it's just a kill until the end. She's going to buy a little bit of time, but down she goes. Double kill now for Vitoon. As Afterlife is going to rotate from the bottom lane to try and push this tower. This is going to kind of damage his game because he'd very much like to remain down bottom. But of course, if he just abandons his team while his mid tower is taken, he's going to get pinged. And of course, OneMove are going to kind of lose a lot of map control. So it's not really an acceptable option here for Underlord. It's a bit of a lose-lose scenario. At the very least, they're diverting attention away from Smiley Knight, who could desperately use some time and space to farm now. But Navi, I mean, they can just be anywhere they want on the map with 2 cores basically instantly teleporting into the fight. 1 at will, basically. It's terrifying. Sayush is going to die to solo. Sayush?
Yeah, it'll take a little bit of getting used to. And it will be for the better. Yeah, he dies to solo as well. And this Clockwork looking... already getting more kills, honestly, than the Mirana. This probably shouldn't be happening on a 5 Clockwork. You're more for the lane. I do feel like Enchantress's only role as well, which is winning the lane, has not really happened for OneMove. So when is their point of inflection going to happen? I think it's probably our Meliul. But he went for Blink Dagger to activate earlier, and we still haven't seen it come into play.
Yeah, and the first blink, just again, it was really difficult. When you go for a high value kill, like onto a Coddle, they're always going to teleport everyone in. And when you've got a Dawnbreaker and a Furion, they're instantly back into the fight. Could see the first Corona here. Smiley Knight considering it, still considering, will now go to cast it. He has not caught any enemies, though, and in fact, he's only caught Afterlife. And this is going to be a little bit awkward as Navi look for revenge.
Okay, that was pretty funny. He's like, guys, I got the Fiendscape. I did it! Anyway, Enchantress, she is going to die to solo once again. Afterlife nearby. There is the TP potentially from Vitoon.
I hear an Epicenter. Meliul's got one ready to go.
Oh, they actually got Clockwork instead, just a simple Burrow Strike, but Lace is coming in with a Solar Guardian. That's healing up Solo. Solo will survive this. The arrow misses everyone. Afterlife will now die instead. As Navi continue this aggression, there's no point in Solar Bind, nothing to slow down Sayush. As Meliul comes in, nice Burrow Strike with the Epicenter, and there's the Blink Dagger we were expecting coming into play.
Yep, just the tiniest of overextensions really from Navi, and that's a pretty big opening there. Exploited as Meliul was able to finally get in a kill. Smiley Knight, of course, doesn't really accomplish much with his first Chronosphere, which is a very kind way of saying he didn't really do anything with his first Chrono. But at least he doesn't take a death. He's going to get his Mask of Madness online and continue to jungle for the next 15 minutes or so. He saw Vitoon play that AM game and went, you know what, it'd be really nice to hit creeps for the entire game as well, wouldn't it? One of those kinds of heroes. Vitoon, though, he wants something active, and I always think this is kind of cool. I don't know if this is so much, Vitoon demanding or asking kindly, perhaps, for a more active hero compared to the AM, but, when you go from AM, who is a very much so, and I'm going to farm for 30 minutes, don't call me, until I'm done, kind of hero, to NP, who joins the fights and can very quickly just start them by himself. It's pretty fun.
Okay, this play was really, Solo, I guess, he was preemptively tanking a gank, right? I guess that was the idea. As Pantheon does the same thing. Interesting choices by the 5s. I agree with you. I think that he's best suited for the heroes that have like a small peak early and then they peak late as well. Like the Gyrocopter is a reason why he's such a good hero. I think his Luna is also really strong. Like, it's those heroes with like strong laning that they can make 1 or 2 plays. I don't think he's the Ursa style player or the Weaver style player, right? It's more of the Gyrocopter, Jug, you know, Luna, etc., etc. I think NP suits that playstyle a lot. He's not playing it as fast as someone like the Hawk would play, who plays NP like the map is his, but he is somewhere between, I would say, the Hawk and Matumman, which I think is on the slower side of NPs.
Yeah,
It's cool how a hero can have so many different playstyles there. I think
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Smiling Knight, he's coming up on another Chrono here, ready to go. He's now maxed the Bash and has 3 points in the Time Walk. So he, with the Mask of Madness attack speed, he might consider trying to go for a Chrono play onto one of these squishier targets. It's kind of difficult though, right? Because it feels like in these early Chronos, all they got to do is Solar Guardian, or they can just jump you and kill you, 100-0, just like that. It's that easy. Nice job there, Solo, stringing that one together and kicking it off with the hook shot.
Well done. And no one on point, right? He was charging the Illuminate, trusting a Solo to hookshot in already, right? So he had it all planned out. Now the first point of Solar Bind is super impactful here for these small early kills. And now we have Vessel already on the cuddle, or close to it.
Yeah, 1,100 gold now. As that item got a little bit more expensive with everyone picking it up. So he'll have that here in just a second. And that is going to, of course, be amped by the Solar Bind damage. Again, I've already highlighted, but you've got heals essentially on two heroes, right? Time Walk is not exactly a heal in the traditional sense, but it is still reduced all the same by the Vessel. And then 2 strength cores as well. So it's a very, very high value game for the Vessel this time around.
Okay, Arrow and Lays, but here's the global potential from OneMove, trying to counter-initiate. Sorry, trying to continue the initiation, that's my bad. As Afterlife, he realizes the gate is no longer his, it's been controlled by a Tiny. Oh no, Solo now puts him in the cogs, Afterlife is going to die. Mellow Yule in the trees, trying to escape this. He realizes this gank is a really hard one. And Smiling Knight is coming by, but there's no Fiend's Gate to Chrono. What is he gonna Chrono instead? Sweet and Strong apparently instead. No one attacking Mellow Yule on the backlines. The supports might die here, but in exchange, they might just kill Mellow Yule. Ooh, NP was a second too late. Smiling Knight still preserves that Chrono. He's actually stuck in the cogs. Time walk away. Fine for now, but there's no way to heal that Illuminate. Here comes Lays as well. He's gonna have to use the defensive Chrono unless he wants to just die. Time walk one last time. Smiling Knight, he's holding on to it. He's not being stunned. Nothing can stop Smiling Knight. The hammer, they got him on the way back. The greed got to Smiling Knight. He didn't want to use the Chrono. He died instead. Whirlwind saying Panto him, but I don't think this Enchantress is going anywhere. Hit him with 3 hits, and that's going to be a dead Enchantress too.
Yep, Navi just doing a little bit better in these long fights, right? The Furion going for his early Maelstrom. The more procs he gets, the more Calls of Nature is, the better. The Illuminates, right? All these spells that you get off, whereas, you know, OneMove a little bit more about their big ultis at this stage of the game, especially when your Underlord dies so early on. It means that Navi naturally are going to take these longer engagements, and they're going to find him to be quite favorable here, as we could see. Unfortunately, I mean, that's just one of those cases where, you know, the wise words of Jackie Mount, you just have to go for his zoning Chrono if you want to live. He does everything in his power but that, and unfortunately he will take the death. So unfortunately still holding on for a good Chrono usage. Again, he will find it difficult to find a really great one, as there's a nice a toss, or really just a toss onto Seiyush. He will go. And potentially now Navi opening up the map here very easily with maybe a tier 1 tower that they're able to snag.
The concern with that use of Chrono, or the way they're analyzing the Chrono's use, right, or the value of it, is that I don't think your Chrono right now is that valuable, because yeah, you have Epi and blinking into the Chrono, which is a fine combo, but it's not like Mortimer's Kisses level good, right? Besides that, you have what, Firestorm, I guess an Arrow. It's not the craziest killing tool, right? So using it defensively, I think, would have been fine, considering how little use you can have in the early game.
I would even I would go on to say that enemies probably fight a little bit better around your Chrono than you currently do. Dawnbreaker ults in. Coddle is thrown in at least 2 Illuminates, right? Clockwork can hook shot in, and I think he stuns you as long as he hits you, but he's obviously trapped inside the Chrono. Tiny can avalanche in. Nature's Prophet can actually sprout into a Chrono. Like, I think enemies are just a little bit better than you in Chrono. So I feel like using it defensively to escape a bad fight is maybe not the worst usage of it, because eventually you'll be able to get these kills very easily, but I think even with Mask of Madness, it's a bit hopeful that you can get a solo kill in these Chronos right now.
I agree. Can you imagine how weird it would be if Navi's like, guys, use Chrono, let's go, 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 it's time. Like, we can fight around this. It's.
I mean, I guess so, right? Especially if he Chronos another Fiend's Gate like that.
Maybe Smiling Knight is just a secret agent here. That's why he's just Knight now.
Secret agent.
He no longer smiles. Smiling Knight. What is this happiness?
It's not allowed. It's simply not allowed. It is a shorter name as well, so maybe he just
I
prefers it
did
to
like
that.
Smiling Nut though. It's a cute name. And I'm 100% certain it was a reference to some sort of anime. It sounds very much like that.
No, you'd be the expert there. So look, being trapped here a little bit. Radaveto stacking the stones a
Epi.
bit, but it still should be. No, actually, they're not going to quite get it. The Solar Guardian to
gonna
turn.
die.
Melojul now going to try and let the ulti go, but he doesn't get it quite off. It's not only on Evatoon. That is going to be Navi with, again, another advantageous pickoff. Creep wave top in a promising position here. I don't think Navi can quite go for Roshan. This is a BKB Dawnbreaker after Shard and not quite the Deso that we see in some other regions.
Right, yeah, the valid team fight. I agree with this more, honestly. I think the Blink is better than the BKB, but I think it's fine this game, particularly because of how much that Magic Immunity saves you from these fights, considering the only physical damage is Void, and Void is just not that strong. This hero, I can see why he's S tier, especially in pubs with less coordination, but I think in especially Eastern Europe, where they're so good at playing quickly, it's tough to get to the point where you're useful.
Oh, you might not need a Deso if you just find a DD rune here for your right click to carry. Evatoon set to work here rather quickly. This is perhaps where you need to be a bit scared here if you're Navi, although it would take a big call from OneMove to really make this kind of skirmish here in Contest Roche at this stage. Seems like they will not be going for it. And it'll be first Roche here, 18 and some odd minutes here into the game here. Aegis for Evatoon.
Okay. I mean, with only BKB and Maelstrom, I don't think it's that scary, I suppose, because it doesn't seem like this Nature's Prophet is that powerful. I mean, now with Shard. But I guess you can push it tier 2 with this.
Yeah, that's what I think this really means. I think it kind of makes the fight a little bit, like, it just really reduces the moves that OneMove. I hate that I keep making puns. At first I was doing it on purpose, but now I just can't stop. As there goes Pantsum, I'm dying yet again. Out of toss there, we'll put him down. I just don't really know if there's any moves for OneMove to be making at this stage of the game, because how can they go for kills right now easily when, they have good magic damage that they can certainly threaten with, especially with Epicenter now level 2, but all the important targets have BKBs. And the Nature's Prophet has an Aegis. They're not really scared of your Chronosphere for reasons I already highlighted, although maybe with the Maelstrom that starts to change a little bit. As they are fighting top lane, Fiend's Gate onto Lays, as they're closing the gap with the Epicenter. They will get the kill, but that's a big Wrath of Nature here, and no one closing the gap. Got another Illuminate here coming soon. Hookshot, though, is going to be blocked by no one. That's not going to allow Solo here to cancel any TPs on the way in. It's going to be a small but favorable engagement here to OneMove, and here I go again now, but that's the one move they really have to make, I would say. They have to engage really on the Dawnbreaker every single time, otherwise she just ults into the fight.
Yep. That is true. It's honestly, it makes the Underlord feel like a very underwhelming hero because he can't really do, or he can't really gank globally as long as Dawnbreaker's alive or the ultimate is up, right? Or sorry, and the ultimate is up specifically. I feel like Afterlife would do better actually now as, well, he's gonna be dead, so he'll do better as a corpse, I suppose. There's no hookshot to continue this, so the rest of OneMove should be fine. But I do feel like the Underlord should start deviating into the Amard-style Underlord, where you kind of a carry, because Senki can't really do that, and he's going to be an initiator anyway, so you might as well let the Underlord be your secondary carry to make up for the fact that Void is nowhere near the NP in terms of farm.
Well, he's giving it a try here. He's got the BKB in the quick buy, very necessary item for him to not be completely chain stunned this game. Sweet and strong, maybe it's the tiny. Maybe it's just the position 4 just being pretty powerful in this region overall. But either way, it's still finding a lot of impact here in this game. As Navi will go ahead and sweep across the map here. Good vision set up here for OneMove, but of course they're going to bypass all that with a smoke. And Smiling Knight, Farmer Wild likes to call the Camp of Death, and I think we're about to see why. Sweet and Strong makes the jump. They're already pre-channeling here the Illuminate, and a perfect bit of control from Solo, who connects on the hook shot. And that's going to prove the Solar Guard to be a little bit superfluous there in that case, but they had the control, they had the damage there, and they nicely string it together.
Yep. I think that's what we're talking about, right? That the amount of burst damage they can break the Void down with. Like, they had the control, but the control is kind of, it's just meh, right? The damage is just so overwhelming. No one actually has not even gone for any extra damage items. No Dagon, no E-Blade, nothing like that, right? Just pure utility. Caught away is really wild here, honestly, when I look at this. Oh, Avalanche. Look at that Sarbine, how much that amplifies the Avatos combo.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't even a combo. We just used them after each other.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. No one here. And feeling pretty good, I think, with how he's performing here on the tunnel. Pretty good. Yeah, down goes the tier 2 tower. They've already dispatched up the tier 2 top. And we'll actually still have almost a minute and a half, more than a minute and a half, just slightly, of this Aegis that Navi can still look to apply more pressure with. We'll be doing just that. Looks like it'll be all the tier 2 towers here. Not quite yet ready to go high ground. They're still respecting the possibility here of a Chronosphere into, of course, the epicenter, although SeekNStrike certainly is, and he's feeling pretty good.
Alright, SeekNStrike. They're not going to actually commit the epicenter to this. Phantom enchanted him to keep him hopefully in the Pit of Malice. As the epicenter gets charged, Meliul just can't decide whether to go or not. And instead, it'll be Navi who decides it's against Phantom. The threat of the epicenter is scarier than the epicenter himself, apparently.
Absolutely.
As Richie said, the Sheever said, Puppy said.
Yep, everyone knows that quote by now. Navi, yeah, I think this is the right move. They're not distracted by this. They're probably like, all right, SeekNStrike, you know. They call him back to join the fights and just support Vitoon here, as his Aegis will be expiring shortly, but he is at least going to take down that last tier 2 for OneMove. So really, just next Aegis now looking especially dangerous for Navi. Not so much for Shard, but simply just, of course, for that invulnerability or the respawn against Faceless Void. Doesn't really give a whole lot of options to OneMove to really find a way back into this game. Especially because Navi, they're just, for the most part, grouping up, right? Obviously, the Dawnbreaker, the exception to the rule here, as I think they have a toss in illusion.
Yep, the classic alliance play where you smoke doesn't break, but you think maybe it's just smoke is just broken.
Maybe it's just smoke. Vitoon sees an enemy hero.
Phantom. Oh, they actually sprouted him out of the trees. And I think Phantom is going to die to the vessel alone.
Oh, yeah.
Meliul, he does manage to make it out. And the backlines, Sayush was going for someone, but I couldn't quite see who it was.
Yeah, I sniped a courier at least, so we'll be happy
Oh,
with
is that
that.
what he was killing?
I think so, yeah. He really wants to get this 4-staff online, but of course is really struggling to find the farm to get that one up. And this one looking pretty much exactly how game 1 looked for Radiant, right? Of course, this time the scripts are flipped. But here goes OneMove actually making a bit of an aggressive smoke right into the arms of Navi. Dawnbreaker's just TP'd away, of course, but she can be back in an instant. Solo is, I think, showing top, so kind of a promising move here from OneMove. I don't think they're going to push too hard for it, though, between the Sand King and Mirana, but they certainly could. They know the Coddle's in the area. He's going to blast another wave.
Yeah, they just don't have any vision over the triangle. Phantom was trying to give it to them, but as you can see here, but he dies in his Odyssey. So maybe they have to settle for the MP.
I mean, that's I think they're fairly happy with
that's
that, right? The richest hero in the game.
Yeah, you know, that's a win. That's a win. Oh no. OneMove. They've just been. This is one long move across the map. Maybe one day they'll yield results.
Maybe.
It's a long-term play, Richie. They're playing the long game here.
They're hodling.
They found the Coddle. Oh no, it's nighttime now. The world is just against OneMove, honestly. They can't see him because of nighttime.
And look, they're just
the other one might just die.
I guess that's a bit hopeful, really, but.
All right, wait. This play continues. Sayush? Oh no, he's back to the creep. He's giving up on this.
Oh,
Found Solo.
Here. Solo
Found him.
There's another leap charge though, so the control. Oh, leapt into another cog. Bad kitty.
Sorry, that was so natural. It's clear you have a cat.
How could you tell?
There's a sadness in your voice that really gives it away.
All right, there we go. Double 4-staffs now. Just single, actually, at least. You know, just doing whatever OneMove can do. Who knows? Maybe a 4-staff. I mean, it's a damn good item here, right? Versus Solar Bind, versus Solar Guardian, even as well.
Yep.
To allow you to get outside of Cogs. It is to get you outside of Sprout as well, even through Shard. It's really good for OneMove. So now they've at least got a pretty good save here on Sayush.
And also Phantom. They do have double, you know.
Oh, okay.
SeekNStrike. Okay, hit by the arrow. Also the Atos. Just stack all the stuns. Hit him with everything you got. Murder him. They got him.
They got him.
You know what they say, right? 1 4-staff a day keeps the clockwork away.
Yeah, I actually think so.
Yeah.
I think they
My mom
probably
used
would
to tell
say
me
that
that when I was a kid.
I'm like, Mom, what does that mean? You're like, one day, son, you'll understand.
Oh, I was like, Mom, I don't. Why do you speak to me in English all of a sudden? That was so weird. I thought she was possessed for years, man. We took her to the priest. It didn't work out. Padre Daniel was terrible.
Talk about wings at TI6 and how Slacks was going to win TI, or what the heck? What was this
her
guy?
eyes would go blank when she would say these things. It was really scary, honestly. Anyway, There's Mindbreaker now picked up by Navi. Actually pretty big if they give it to the MP. Yep. This is another way to deal with the Void, right?
I wonder if now with BKB, this Faceless Void can kind of just finally get into these fights. He's got the Mindbreaker for himself.
He is on D-warding duty, and he is going to get those wards, even if he dies trying.
He might even die. I mean, this Wraith Pack doing a good amount of damage, but unfortunately, it's Lays who is going to deal the killing blow. He's going to buy back here on the Pandemum, and honestly, I don't think this is necessarily a Roche that OneMove can just let go for free. They've set up a ward here in the enemy triangle, and they're going to look to play around this one. There's also a nice ward here as well, just to the left of their staircase, between the two dire staircases on that high ground. That's not bad at all. It seems like they finally caught something. No, it is SwedenStrong. Dark Rift as well coming on in. SwedenStrong tried to take it for a second. Afterlife BKB is going to act as the doorman there and kick him out. He's been bounced. Sayush as well, leaping away as the hook shot is going to swing wide. They're on top of a tune as well with now the Chronosphere. There's Solar Guardian, but Smiling Knight here is just going to BKB and dish out the damage. Straight on a Lays he goes now. The BKB, at least from Lays, is going to allow him to ignore that pit. Looks like in trouble. Yep, and killed off his Sayush. They finally hit him with a spray bottle. Smiling Knight as well, going 1v1 versus Solo. Pretty sure he's happy to do that as Meluyul jumping in a second time. He's already used, however, the epicenter. So OneMove kind of dry here as far as their damage and resources, but will at least prevent Navi from taking a free Roche. They might consider moving into the pit themselves.
Yeah, it kind of worked out for them, all things considered. They're killing an NP, like you said, is the highest net worth hero. Oh, now Solo. The Wraith Pack's still available, unfortunately, so Solo's super tanky. Are they going to break the Wraith Pack? Is someone going to attack that skull? No.
It's died in a second anyway.
Yeah, but Solo survived as a result, right? It's just such a strong item against the Void, because you don't time lock the Wraith Pact, so it takes forever to actually bring it down.
Oh, you do not bash. Yes, you do not bash on the ward units.
Yeah, so it's called time lock, yeah.
That's very true. Can't proc
What's
it.
his...
No.
Okay, he's going for Shard next, so no more damage. I think the Mjolnir might be a little bit of a turning point this Chrono, where he can kill two heroes.
This is a great play by Navi. They're banking on, of course, the advantage of a tune. He can just TP into a fight, which is why this smoke seemed a little bit early, but with the mobility that they have, it's kind of perfectly timed. There he is, right in the Roche pit, and the fight kicking off on the high ground. Meluyul gets off his BKB at the least. SwedenStrong's going to force that himself away. It's going to be a wasted Burrow Strike as Afterlife just has to try and at least be a bit of a buffer space. He does not have buyback, though, so if they catch him here, they've already stunned him as well. He's trapped inside the cogs. The Wraith Pack damage negation here as well, as they've even tossed in Smiling Knight. He's controlled as well. They almost got the kill there, just off the silence, I believe, on that neutral item. Sayush now with the Vessel, as that's a fantastic Burrow Strike onto two, but no one in Lays. Both pop the BKB and escape on 10 HP. Smiling Knight trying to fight through this one, gets the kill onto Solo, but he's going to be turned on and smashed by Lays.
This is wild, man. Both teams keep getting baited by their own plays. Like, they just make a good play, and they're like, oh my god, we're gods. We can take this. And then they get baited into overextending. The Void there going in with that BKB was kind of a wild play. I think the initial idea of let's let Afterlife die, he'll tank this gank, was fine. And if they follow us too long, then we just punish them like Meluyul did there. Great job. I think the saving your teammate syndrome was pretty bad. The Mindbreaker was definitely out of the Void's control, but it was already on there beforehand.
There they go
Okay,
again.
Lays goes in. Sayush in trouble, hexing up Meluyul, in the trees he goes. There's a new form of cooking pork that I've never seen. As Meluyul falls, Phantom he is also going to be pummeled to death. Lays does not care about an untouchable when he's using that Starbreaker.
That is going to be second Roche here guaranteed for Navi. I think the reason why OneMove kind of go for the Save Your Buddy syndrome play there is they felt the pressure. They knew that they can't just let Navi get the second Roche because they're going to be incredibly strong. I think there's still plays. You know, Denog, he's very confident in the abilities of Faceless Void late game for good reason, right? But they just got to get there. And with this second Aegis now that Navi have, it doesn't really seem like they're going to be able to see the light of that late game Void. They need a miraculous fight here. They're going to have at least a Chrono ready, BKB, basically everything ready to go for OneMove to try and defend this. They, of course, need their Sand King and are going to be quite limited on the buybacks, with the only Faceless Void and the supports having it.
Killing the Catapult, though. Well done. Nice snipe. Platoon in trouble. Not quite, though,
but
because
they can't fight,
the positioning is good.
Yeah, Smiling Knight is farming mid. I think what did he just get?
Mjolnir.
That'll explain it.
Yeah, I think it's the best choice.
Going to make the great escape here as well, as no one did try and scout that with the Illuminates, so Mjolnir finished off.
He He was going for Shard before, and I think that was the best build overall, optimal build, but you want damage right now. You need the Chrono to be super impactful. He also went for the level 20 talent of 120 attack speed in Chrono. That's the common talent, but it's a huge starting point for the build.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, not to say that Mjolnir's a bad item at all this game, just for the active, right? It's really good versus Nature's Prophet.
True.
So, yeah, it's a good one. Absolutely this game. Will it be worth buying out for is going to be the question that Navi proposed here, as they may look instead to push through the top lane. Plenty of treants already gathered, ready to go. They have a break on Vitoon. So you're breaking Untouchable and you're breaking the Bash here on Smiley Knight. Both pretty impactful passives, as well as actually Atrophiora, also impactful.
Yeah, I agree. The crit's nice too as well. You're breaking Caustic Finale though, I think that's the most important part, I would say.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
No, that was sarcastic. Please don't say yeah, actually, because people will think that was
Well, yeah, listen, dude, I'm trying to lend some credence to when you said that Sanking Ags is super good this game.
Right. Yeah, as you can see, Meluyul agrees with me entirely. It's just a really late game pickup. Like, if you buy it early, it reveals your whole plan, right?
Right,
So you gotta buy it super late. As like, I would say like 6th, 8th item maybe. And that way they never expect the Sanking Axe to hit them.
You never see it coming. They're like, wow, this Sanking is really farmed. He's full of slots. Oh, you got an Ags?
Oh my
Holy
god.
moly.
Who gets these items?
You want to get it specifically after, not only after the Moon Shard, but after you gift your entire team Moon Shards as well.
Yes,
That's when
yes,
you
yes.
wanna get this
That's the real surprise threat. I also like that in this hypothetical example of yours, Sanking is full of slots. Not that his slots are full, but he's just full of item slots all over. Just has pockets all over his armor.
He's got the courier following him. He's doing some insane micro there.
He's overflowing with items, guys. What do we do against the Sanking? No, but I think this build actually is really clever. He understood that, like I said, right, the Underlord is not really your initiator tank. It seems like that's Sanking's role a little bit more, hence the BKB and the Blink Dagger. He has stagnated a little bit more, giving Afterlife more priority. I think that's the right choice once again. I feel like Meluyul was kind of stuck. His early game had to go much better, and they weren't really able to utilize that Blink Dagger timing as well as we expected. And the Travel Boots didn't really act as the Midas we always talk about, right?
Yeah, not quite.
Just helping Travel Boots to go help his team who was dying.
It's just like in these lineups, I'm starting to see a trend in these lineups where it's like you draft a little bit of global mobility and the enemies just draft a little bit more. It just feels like all of a sudden, like Dark Rift feels very difficult to use. I think there's still uses where it's good. For example, where Afterlife is fighting and Roshan buys back to get back in the fight, but hold that thought. So we're fighting, and here's a Dark Rift looking to get back in the fight a bit sooner. A great Blinding Light pushes back Meluyul, so the Epicenter is not well utilized, and Vitoon is going to lifesteal all this damage off of the Satanic active now. Meluyul's BKB expiring as he's going to have to escape his own Sandstorm, but there's going to be now the Chrono onto no one. No save whatsoever that Navi can propose. He's dead for a full minute and a half. Does not have the buyback, but it's still breaking out though. They will at least get through Seyush, but Smiley Knight's looking for more.
He is. I don't know about this one. They give him Gem just in case. You be the scout, Smiley Knight. And he's going to go for solo here. Here's the help from Lays. They try to help him with a 4-step, but Avalanche, Smiley Knight in trouble. He is going to time walk just in time. SweetNStrike dies in the middle of this. Vitoon still has that Aegis, so he's going to be fine for now. Attacking Pantoim. Pantoim being able to heal this back up. Afterlife tries to TP. He's somehow going to manage to avoid that hammer, but gets leashed towards the ladder out of his TP. So he's going to fall. However, Smiley Knight did not die after once again deciding, oh no, I can totally take on the whole enemy team, even two NPs.
He bloody nearly does as well, right? He's got spider legs, which we didn't comment on, but now you can see this 20 talent. That's what condemns Afterlife here because of the leash camps and the TP. He's able to just easily evade all of these Sprout leashes, and that's how he gets out of that fight. I don't know about this DD rune, though. He might not see this one coming with the bonus damage coming from the Silver Edge. It's going to get spicy, but no, the tune's not going to look surprising. No break on the first auto attack. They just buy back as well on SweetNStrike. However, no Chrono will make this difficult for OneMove to find the opening.
He enchanted Vitoon though. Vitoon.
Yeah, he did.
He got the double damage away. However, he's still an NP, so he's gonna push a Rex no matter what. But hey, well played, Pantoim. You did your role. Very much a one-trick pony guy, this Pantoim.
Toss.
Alright. Forced BKB. I don't know about this one though. Once again, Nage's still up. They have to deal with SweetNStrike. And the hook shot gets him. Forced up will not see him. One more hit from Vitoon will get the kill. Seyush dies with him. This seems to be GG. Only Meluyul can defend this. Afterlife is coming back, but no carry for them. And Vitoon is looking incredibly strong right now.
That's definitely GG here, unfortunately. They will have Chrono and BKB up by the time Faceless Void respawns, but they won't have any barracks, and that's going to be a little bit more of an issue for them. Afterlife and Meloyul will make a play. Oh my goodness, Meloyul finds himself hexed up, didn't get the BKB off, now does, so he ignores off the Solar Garden. Oh, but another hook shot from Solo into the auto attack from Blaze. There's a kill onto him. He just got buyback, but now no BKB, and still no Epi for another minute. Pantomime broken. He needs to force out himself to safety. Is Afterlife doing what he can, just throwing bodies here to try and slow the push, and they have managed to do so, but another 30 seconds off, I just don't think they've got it in them.
No, Age is finally going to expire at least, but at the same time as these racks' life are going to expire. BKB just in case he wants to get out. Okay, TPing, and I think he calculated that correctly.
Yep, he's good. GG,
GG
well played. Yeah.
He left, guys. Well, that's it. There's no more chances. Good comedic timing by OneMove. One last bit of enjoyment for us as the game ends.
Yeah, and two pretty one-sided games here, right? It's been Radiant favored so far in this series with a very convincing performance by both Radiant sides. Navi get one, and OneMove got the game won. I mean, I don't know. What happens in game 3 then? Is it all down to the coin flip, or do you think there's more to this than just 50-50 chance, Avo?
I think there's more to this. I think the drafts have a lot to do with this. I think whatever drafts the panelists favor tend to not go the way
That's true.
that we expected. That's been the thing. So I mean, I guess now Daniel is getting some DMs, you know, so it's Trend. Some are offering more money than others. We'll see which one they take and which one they curse. But honestly, though, it just feels like as opposed to it being who's the better draft, is what team is more attuned to the better draft, right? Because in this case, we talked about it. Navi, they are a really good team at playing from in front, right? Of taking a really good early game lineup, dominating. That is their style. That is the bread and butter. In the first game, it was not really like that. So it feels like this is just the style they're more comfortable with. I feel like OneMove is also more comfortable with that style, to be honest. I know Smiley Knight is a crazy good Void player, but the rest of his heroes tend to be Lycan. I remember his Lycans were incredible. Ursa's, Wraith Kings, like he's that mid-game carry. So maybe Void is not the style that this team is most comfortable with. It didn't seem as powerful, to be honest, compared to last game.
Yeah, I'm just not so sure if you can really go for like a vulnerable early game carry, like a AM or a Faceless Void, for example, against a hero like Nature's Prophet. Because as you're saying, if the Nature's Prophet player is attuned, or in this game, attuned very well, he's just going to come in like super early on and completely crash your game, right? And that ruins the Faceless Void's early game. His jungle gets taken super early. Faceless Void's lane was already really difficult. They might have been able to salvage that, but with two heroes rotated into his lane super early on, even before Coddle bots, it was so hard. That early game for Faceless Void felt just about impossible.
Yep. So with this game over, we have one last game for this series. Navi fighting for those DPC points. OneMove just fighting to crush Navi and a little bit of money, but it's mostly the ego trip that they're fighting for. We'll see what our panel has to say. If they were true heroes, they would be no brick and come back and defend themselves against these inflammatory statements. So we'll see what happens as we bid goodbye, and let's see if we go back to the panel.